9:16 on the morning show with Jeff and Will. We are back on this fine Monday morning, and joining us as she does every Monday morning on the morning show with Jeff and Will at this time, it is the editor-in-chief over at the Rockland County Business Journal, Tina Traster, joins us. Good morning, Tina. How are you this morning?
Good morning to all. How is everybody over there?
We're doing pretty swell so far. How are things in the Rockland County business world?
Well, last week we reported on a sad chapter for Rockland County. As you probably know, the beloved Rockland Farm Alliance has dissolved due to internal strife and financial woes, and this is really very sad. The back history is that this is one of Rockland's many farms from back in the day, and one of the few farms, the Bankruptcy farm, as it's even still known, was able to be saved from development many years ago, and put into forever trust to be open space. A barn was saved. There's quite a historic sandstone house on the property, magnificent house. And over the last 15 years ago, a gentleman named John McDowell and his wife started a farming operation, not on that site, but eventually his nonprofit moved onto that site, and at least I'd say about a fifth of the site has been pretty much continuously farmed for I think about 15 years. The catch also, just kind of put a pin in this, is that this site, and if anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, this is on Little South Tor Road in New City. I'm sure most people do know what I'm talking about. You've passed it a million times in your car. It's partially owned by Rockland County, and it's partially owned by the town of Clarkstown. That was the deal that was struck in an effort to save it forever. So anyway, what we reported early last week, was that the Rockland Farm Alliance, which is the nonprofit that's been tending the land and using the barn and doing all sorts of good things in terms of not only farming but education, had already dissolved. And the county announced it, saying that it's seeking a new operator for the Bankruptcy Community Farm, as they call it. And the county says that it's planning on putting out an RFP, request for proposals, for a nonprofit operator. That's what they told us. That's what we've reported. I would say that the development certainly sent shockwaves to the community. They only recently had a holiday fair there. And last November, we did a story on the farm, and its executive director, Sue Ferreri, had told us that it was struggling financially, that it was just not getting enough community support, that it could not raise the kind of money that it needed to support the repair of tractors and farm equipment. It's hard to run a farm. Farming's hard and it's expensive. But people for many years have relied on this farm for fresh produce and education and a continuation of Rockland's, nearly extinct farming legacy. So I'd say, not to exaggerate, but I feel comfortable in saying it's one of the most important assets in Rockland County in terms of open space, in terms of farming, and also in terms of tourism. This is, because we don't have many of these agritourism sites here in the county, this is an important asset. Now, what we do know, and this is sad because this is resonant of many nonprofits seem to collapse in on themselves, because running nonprofits is a hard thing to do, and when you add in I get all the complexities of farming. I imagine it's twice as difficult. And in nonprofits, you typically have a board, and then you have, you have an executive director, and you have a staff, and also in nonprofits, you generally don't necessarily have any further oversight in particular. So what we know, and it's, again, I keep using the word sad, it's like I'm wearing out the word, but we do know that the executive director about 9 months ago filed a claim with the New York State Department of Human Rights, claiming that she's been the subject of harassment and discrimination by the board. And we know from the reporting that we've done that there's been so much kind of, behind the scenes wrangling, really, I think, between Sue Ferreri, the former executive director, and the board. And it seems like, now this is not a lawsuit yet, so let's be clear about what this is. So this is an agency of New York State that looks at complaints, and in this case, the state has made what's called a notice of finding of probable cause of discrimination, which means that the case is going to proceed to a hearing before an administrative judge, and then once that happens, there'll either be a decision rendered to determine whether or not this complaint rises to discrimination, and or perhaps a settlement before it gets there. So we're tracking this, but it's not. This definitely has shades of High Tor, and how High Tor's board and all of its internal strife ultimately led to it being vulnerable for takeover by Rockland Green, and this kind of just it echoes some of that in my mind. Right now there's some dispute about the number, but there are about 40 animals that are still on the farm property. And so, it raises the question in terms of the transition of care for those animals. The county says that it's taken back responsibility for the property, and that it's making sure that the animals are okay. And I think from what we understand, there might be somebody from the former Rockland Alliance who apparently is feeding the animals. But, the organization had 20 people there, people who were interfacing on a daily basis with the animals. There are also crops that have been put in the ground. And so, it's one thing, when a nonprofit breaks up and it can be done maybe cleanly, but it's another story, when it's the land, when it's living creatures. This adds a whole layer of I think of concern and stress. Now, the latest development that we also we published 2 stories on this last week, because in the wake of the dissolution of the Rockland Farm Alliance, then we learned that the Rockland Farm Alliance itself, which is a nonprofit, filed bankruptcy. And so that further puts into question who the assets belong to, and those assets, by the way, include the animals. The Rockland Farm Alliance, it would seem specifically those animals belong to the nonprofit and not the county. So there's some gray area there, and also, with the RFA seeking to go into bankruptcy, that also I don't know what it means yet for the future of this piece of land, and who gets to use the equip how the equipment will be dispersed ultimately. So many questions remain about will the state find that the internal strife of this organization rose to the level of discrimination? Question mark. Will the bankruptcy judge accept this bankruptcy, and then what will happen to the assets? Question mark. In the meantime, the animals, okay, if they're being cared for, fine, but what's their long-term future here? How soon will Rockland County be able to find and name a new farm operator? It's like we're an agricultural county, like say Orange or even Ulster, where there might be obvious successors to come in and start up a new farming operation. I mean, we're largely a suburb now, and so will there be an obvious successor to step in, or will it be some form of the previous staff? Will they be reinvented as the new operators? Question mark. So many questions, so many more questions than answers. Did you want to say something?
Oh no, I was all right. I was letting you go.
Okay. I thought I heard us. Yeah. So we're going to definitely, obviously keep a very close eye on this story. Like I said before, I didn't say, but it's 60% owned by the county and 61% and 39% owned by Clarkstown. So this, again, adds this layer of government some government responsibility, or certainly a government interest in sorting this out. I mean, in the end of the day, we had a nonprofit operator running the farm, but this is a farm that belongs to the people because it's public land. And so there's a lot of responsibility here to make sure that this farm remains productive, that it sees its next iteration, that there is good stewardship and no corner cutting, and that there aren't bad decisions, because we've seen what that looks like at times in this county when chaos reigns or bad decisions are made, and ultimately when you have an asset that includes land or animals, I think it rises up to a higher responsibility to make sure that what goes on is very, very carefully vetted and thought through. So those are my thoughts about the Rockland Farm Alliance, which again, very sad news coming, in the holiday time, and I just hope that I hope something good happens there.
Well, like you said, we can only hope. Obviously, it is unfortunate timing given the holidays that are coming up, and we do hope the best for them as well as for the animals that are affected by the stories you discuss, the people as well. We're going to cross our fingers and, like I said, hope that maybe the holiday season can elicit some type of miracle that can bring the Rockland County business world sort of to a better place where we can talk maybe next week about some fun stuff. I don't know, but anyway.
No, I could not agree with you more. I think this was very gut punching for a lot of people.
Quite a bit, and it's unfortunate to see that, but we will, like I said, hope for the best. Thank you so much, Tina Trasser of the Rockland County Business Journal, for joining us as you do here every Monday. If anybody else out there right now wants any more information from the Rockland County Business Journal, we recommend you do so. Make sure you go to their website. It's called RCBiz, that's B-I-Z, rcbizjournal.com, or you can check out their Facebook or Twitter pages. They post pretty regularly there as well. Thank you so much again, Tina. We will talk to you next week. Have a great week.
Oh, great. You too.